And we are live. Okay. I am just gonna go get a drink or something, like a coffee or something. Right? Just gonna get a drink or something. Um, and then we're gonna get into it. Plus, to use my mic, I have to remove my charger, so I want to talk for a little bit before I go quiet. Then I can't use my mic. And I'd like to be able to use my mic. So, be right back. Back to the fire there. Interesting. Alright. I was a little crowded here. Not as crowded as it usually is. I mean, not as quiet as it usually is, which I prefer. But I'm gonna just use the quick receiver in. Okay, it's not reading. And testing, testing. We have audio and we are live. We're live again. Okay, there we go. So, last night we spoke about hook points and more engaging content, right? And we spoke about how to achieve that. How to achieve that. And quite frankly, why that's important, right? You have to be able to do the research. A lot of the times we just when you're making content, when you're trying to make it engaging, when you're making content, when you're trying to make content engaging, you end up kind of miscommunicating. You end up miscommunicating, and that's important because communication is number one. It doesn't matter what product you're selling. It's important what problem you're solving, right? So I'm going through something, right? I'm finding products, and I'm creating that muscle of, yeah, just here is fine. Appreciate it. No, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm creating a way, right, of finding that pain point. How does the product do something that actually solves a problem, right? Oh, not wearing my ring. Feel naked, right? How do you get to the thing that's important? And to know how to get to the thing, you have to know the person you want to talk to, right? And this seems like, the usual stuff you hear, like target audience is important, yada yada yada. But it's a little bigger than that. It's a little more important than that. It's a little more important by virtue of being necessary. Is what you're saying necessary, or is it a waste of time? And quite frankly, a lot of people just waste people's time, right? I'm going to bring this example up again. I've spoken about it before. But if someone, most people think that they are decent writers, right? Most people think they're decent writers, but they're not, right? It's either your job to write something that, it's like clerical work, um, or the last time someone read their creative writing was when a teacher was marking their work at school. And that is in no way a representation of whether you are a good writer or not. If people are being paid, right? If people are being paid to read your writing, then you cannot ascertain whether that's good writing or not, right? It cannot be good writing, right? If people are being paid to read it. So to get to good writing, you have to know your audience, but not just know them. You have to know what they worry about. And so if you're not, if you're just creating, if you're just selling the product, you're wasting your time, right? If you're selling the product, you're wasting your time. If you're solving a problem, people will listen, right? Then what you have, as the title suggests, an engaging hook, and that's the most important thing. And you know, there's a distinction here that I've been trying to figure out myself. It's like, you go online to do some research, and it's like, okay, what's engaging, right? And it could be like you see a lot of these like online companies that will just kind of take uh, take from meme culture, right? And they'll just make memes out of their products, which can be good, right? But that really only works if your product is like less than 100, less than 50, like dollars. The second you start going past that, any like B2B product, businesses are not going to take you seriously, right? They don't want just a product for the meme so that they can make a joke out of in the next party they go to or their next social event, right? It's not like it's not anything like that. When a business purchases, they want a problem solved. They want a pain eased, right? And you know, as an example, I would just recommend, thinking back to the last time you read something, written word, that made you feel something, right? It's almost like the words came out and spoke directly to you. It spoke directly to you, and it made you feel an emotion. That is an engaging hook, right? And it's often highlighted in probably the first 3 seconds, right? As humans, like, generally speaking, our attention spans are quite low anyway, right? Our attention spans are quite low anyway. So what ends up happening is, as a result of companies doing their best to steal our attention as much as they can, we adapt. And that's why you get like doom scrolling. That's why you get like, you know, that Netflix thing where you just stay on the homepage not knowing what to watch. Because there's so much available, you're more conscious of what you spend your time on. And so grabbing your attention is a little more difficult, right? If a new movie comes out with, let's say, an actor you really like, or perhaps uh, you liked the trailer of, you're just going to go watch that. But when you just open up Netflix because you're bored, you have a harder time deciding what to watch. And that is the crux of the issue, right? Because a lot of things on Netflix might be really good, like good quality, perhaps. And it might be really good quality, but that doesn't mean that for you it feels like a useful hour to hour, right? Depending whether you're watching a series or a movie. So, but if the hook point is good, you're gonna go to Netflix just to watch that. You're gonna be like, oh, thank God it's on Netflix. You know? Do you understand? So that's what it's kind of about. But let's talk more about it. I think I'm gonna probably, instead of doing a long one, should I do a long one? I'll decide. Maybe I can just leave it on, just there with the mic off. But yeah. So I'm kind of working on the muscle of finding a product, whatever it is, researching it. What does it do? Is it useful? And what problems does it solve? And I've noticed a lot of the times, for some reason, people who make useful products just do not know how to explain it, right? They just, like, if you go to most websites, right? If you go to most websites, right? It'll just be bombardments of like what the product does, right? It's this thing and it does this thing and it does this thing. And it's the ads that'll actually hook you in, right? Like the website itself will be useless, but obviously they hire a marketer, and then the ads hook you in, right? And a good ad will do just that. It won't just tell you what the product does. It'll tell you exactly what problem it's solving for you. That's what makes it engaging, right? And that's what you have to think about. You cannot be thinking about the product. The product is merely a vessel, a means to an end, to solve the real problem that the customer has, right? If you're trying to create engaging hooks, engaging content, you cannot be stuck in that mindset of, I have to tell people what this product does. You can get away with not even mentioning anything that the product does as long as you have a good hook, right? And a good hook is related. It's very deeply related to the process that people have in their day to day, right? If you can recognize what someone's day to day looks like, and you can use the product as a change agent, right? You will be able to describe to them in very simple words how they go from their current state to their desired state, right? And they may not even know what that desired state is. But now that you mentioned it, they can't stop thinking about it, right? It's like imagine the first washing machine, right? The first laundry machine, right? Everybody washed their clothes with their hands or, whatever tools that they had available to efficiently wash manually. And then suddenly someone makes a machine that runs on electricity and you can just leave it on for like 30 minutes to an hour. And then your clothes are washed, right? Would you then say this is something that, washes your clothes? It pours water through a pipe system and then you're going to describe the product, right? That's for the manual. That's for afterwards. That's for after they've purchased it, right? And perhaps washing machine is a bad example because it's like it kind of speaks for itself. The hook point is itself. It is the product itself, the unique selling point. But in that example, if you were to focus on the pain points, right? Every few times a week, someone has to do laundry, right? Washing, drying, all these things. You're saving people time, that's one, and you're saving people effort, right? And you're giving them incredible convenience. You're not giving them something that washes clothes. You're giving them more time in their day. You see how that works? And that's much more valuable than just a gizmo or a tool. The tool itself is a means to an end. You have to give something they actually value. People value their time, so you're giving them time. You're not selling them a software, you're selling them time. Purchase this and save time, right? Here's how you can save 3 hours or 10 hours a week to do whatever else you like. Here's how to spend your energy throughout the day on things you actually want to do. How to have more time to spend with your kids. How to have more time to do other things. And this is a pretty, you know, um, basic example. But now that we're iterating, right, slowly we're getting closer to a better way of explaining what we are actually giving you, right? We're not giving you a washing machine. We're saving you time in your day. And that's far more valuable. So, here's a freebie. I've been writing. Okay, I've been writing. And I've been looking up tools, AI tools, and I wanted to see if I could create some hook points for tools that I can find just on the fly, right? So first I looked up tools, right? Found an AI QR code generator tool, right? I found an AI QR code generator tool. And it kind of confused me a little, right? At first I'm like, this isn't valuable because you can generate QR codes for free. What makes this useful? So I put it in a chat GPT, right? This is a really good way to do it. I mean, first I looked it up on Reddit and just websites where people were talking about QR codes. And I could only find things from about 8 years ago, 5 years ago. I guess people just aren't talking about QR codes lately. And a lot of people were just like, oh, it takes up space on your business card. Nobody really clicks on it. It's a waste of time, you know? And, it just takes up space. People don't even know how to use QR codes because, they don't, they just, like most people just open up their camera phone and try to scan it. I mean, back when there weren't like QR code scanners in phones, even I used to do that. I'm like, why isn't it working? But you need like a QR scanner app. But now that it's embedded into your phones, that research is old because a lot of the stuff that we're talking about has been worked on. So now you have some more insight, right? Then I go into ChatGPT and I talk to it about QR codes. And I talk to it about why, even though QR codes are free, you can generate them without AI. What makes them so useful when you add AI into it? What makes it useful as an AI tool, right? If you can just generate for free. And the reasoning I got, which didn't kind of convince me initially, right? And then that's what you have to think about. You have to think about the product as someone who's buying it, right? When is the last time I looked at a QR code or noticed it or used it? Not unless it was absolutely necessary for me to use it at like a store or like look at a menu at a restaurant, right? Unless it was necessary for me, I, I don't really use QR codes. So it's like, okay, this isn't too necessary. I feel like perhaps this isn't a useful product because that's number one. It has to be a useful product. So I'm like, okay. I asked, I'm going through my conversation with ChatGPT. Okay, what is the AI used for if QR code generators already exist, right? So number one, the AI using its technology creates artistic QR codes, right? It's visually appealing. It blends artistic elements with functionality. So it looks like cool AI art, but it's artistic and it's functional. It is a QR. It's a working QR code, and it's attractive. So it pops out, right? It's not invisible on the website, on the business card, whatever, right? And they can be more. Uh, they can have more resonance with the brand identity and its dynamic customization, right? So the AI can automatically adjust the design elements of a QR code to ensure that it remains scannable, right? So it's very dynamic and it's very functional, right? It's very dynamic while remaining functional. And then enhanced functionality, right? Because of the AI features, you get smart links, content recognition, and optimization. The analytics that you get from a QR code that uses AI is far more useful, right? And ease of use. it's really easy to create really complex functional designs, right? And I'm like, okay, I see it. It's just cooler looking QR codes. So I'm like, I'm so confused. Explain it to me like I'm five. So this is um, a little insight into how to talk to ChatGPT too. Explain it to me like I'm five. How does the AI aspect of the tool improve QR codes that can be generated without AI? So it used some more simple ways of speaking. Basically, pretty pictures, right? Instead of just boring black and white square, it's colorful, or have your favorite, you know, cartoon character in it, or your business design. Easy reading, right? Even with all the fun designs, AI makes the QR code still work perfectly. Smart links, so if you scan a regular QR code, it takes you to the same place, but with AI, a QR code can be smart. For example, if you scan it at lunchtime, it might show you a menu, but if you scan at dinner time, it shows you something else. So it's depending on the time of day, it's very customizable, not just the way it looks, but for you as someone who may own a restaurant to use you know time variation to show different results, right? Depending on could be location, could be anything. And cool insights. AI can tell you lots of interesting things about how people are using your QR code. Like it can tell you how many times it was scanned, what people were when they scanned it, and if they liked what they saw. This helps you know what people like, so you can make your QR codes even better next time. Okay, so it's very useful. It's good looking, right? It's dynamic. It has great analytics, and what was the other one? And it's very functional, despite it being so dynamic. And I'm like, isn't analytics QR codes already possible? So what's that? Goat, right? Thanks, brother. So okay, analytics with. So then I asked it, isn't analytics with QR codes already possible? It's like, okay, here's how AI enhances these capabilities, right? Traditional QR codes, basic data, right? It can only, like, generally, it can only, like, standard QR codes just tell you how many times and what time it was scanned, right? It can give you location data, and that's about it. AI enhanced QR code analytics. AI can dive deeper into data. For example, it can analyze patterns and provide more detailed insights about user behavior. Predictive analytics. AI can predict future trends based on current scan data, helping businesses understand what might happen next. User segmentation. AI can categorize users based on their scanning behavior, providing more targeted marketing insights, right? So you're getting insights from your QR code scanner because of AI, right? So it's real smart, which is good. Real-time adjustments. AI can help with real-time adjustments to the QR codes, content based on current trends and data analysis. So it can help you gather data much better. It can help you gather data much better and in a much more insightful way. But as we read on Reddit, right? So we're combining what ChatGPT is telling us about what makes AI QR codes useful with our knowledge from Reddit, saying, you know, people don't even really scan QR codes. So what's the point in knowing all this data about a very small pool of users because people aren't scanning, right? So, I mean, an analogy for it is like counting how many people visit your house and noting the times they come. And AI enhanced analytics is like having a smart assistant who not only counts the visitors, but also learns who they are, predicts when they might come next, and suggests what you might do to make their visit better based on their past behavior. Sure. And it makes real-time adjustments. You can, make time-based content, location-based adjustments, user behavior. So a new customer may have different messages to a returning customer. They can help you with inventory and availability, right? If a product is out of stock, the QR code can adjust in real time to remove that item from the menu and suggest alternatives. It's useful, right? So you get enhanced user experience, increased engagement, right? But that's only if they scan it, and operational efficiency. Great stuff. We're still left with what's the point if no one scans it, right? So I started thinking, I'm like, maybe I was right. Maybe my initial thought was right. And I'm like, let me keep going, right? Let me poke at it some more, because that's the thing, right? It's not my product, so I haven't done the detailed research that someone who might be creating it does. But neither would they have, right? Because I looked at some AI QR code websites, and what I'm about to say next was not there either, right? One second. Okay. And I went on the websites, and it's like, you would think the creator of the product would have thought of this, and it would be clear in every single aspect of the marketing, because it is such an important point for this product. And I actually find it ridiculous that it's nowhere, right? It's just not there. It just uses vague details. Just the vague details is an oxymoron. Just vague descriptions of what the product does, right? So here I am on QR code AI. Generator, QR code, and link powered by AI art tools, AI-driven QR codes, link in bio, smart links redefine engagement, blending elegant design with growth-driven analytics, beyond mere connections, they herald a new era of interaction enriched with collaborative insights. Cool, but that's only if people scan, right? That's only if people are scanning. That's the main thing. And wherever I look, even after kind of actually like keep asking ChatGPT, still having trouble. It's like, I want some hard facts. I want to see how this solves a real problem, right? And the problem is, sure, QR codes are useful, but people just don't scan them, even though now, you know, uh, they're built directly into your phone camera app, right? And they don't scan them unless it's absolutely necessary. Like, you go to a restaurant, you need to scan it. So this is great for restaurants who want, operational efficiency, but that's such a small niche, and restaurants are very low end of the market, right? And it's like, how could you get that to like just a regular business, right? Regardless of what that business might be. Could this be applicable to more than just restaurants, where you're forced to use a QR code to see the menu or to see whatever, right? Right. So then I end up asking ChatGPT, like, okay, the main difference here, in part of the customer experience, is the fact that the QR code just looks cooler, right? From a customer's point of view, because that's who's going to be using this QR code. From a customer's point of view, it's just a pretty QR code. So I ask it, but does having a pretty QR code make people want to scan it more, right? Right? Because that's the assumption, right? So I want some hard stats on that.
Yes, having a visually appealing or pretty QR code can indeed make people more likely to scan. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Several factors contribute to this increased engagement. Attractiveness and engagement. Visual appeal. Attractive QR codes stand out more compared to plain black and white ones. Bright colors, interesting shapes, and logos can draw attention, make people curious enough to scan them. So, because it looks better, people are more likely to be, like their attention is more likely to be diverted. Cool. Branding. Custom QR codes that incorporate brand colors and logos help maintain brand consistency and make QR codes instantly recognizable. That builds trust and encourages users to scan them, right? So it's good for branding, right? Because you can make some pretty complex looking QR codes using your own branding, and that makes them more recognizable. That makes it, makes people say, oh, these guys have customizable QR codes. These guys must be really serious. It's just how people work, right? They're not thinking this. It's just like, Nike has it, other brands have it. It's just, you know, the more you're able to do with your marketing material, the more you're able to customize your branding and things like that, the more kind of brand trust you get. Like, oh, these guys are legit. Psychological impact. People are curious because it's different. Like, first to market wins, right? When everybody has QR codes that are customizable, it's going to be, that's a saturated market. But not everybody has these yet. So people are naturally curious about things that look different or interesting. A well-designed QR code can pique curiosity, prompting people to scan it to see what it leads to. Perceived value. Customer QR codes can convey a sense of professionalism and effort, suggesting that the content behind the QR code is valuable and worth exploring. It's like an ugly guy with some really nice perfume on, right? You might not be interested in the guy. You may, with a girl, right? Whether personally or professionally, right? You could be in a business meeting with someone who doesn't have a very good product, but because they speak so passionately and they're so charismatic, you're more likely to listen to them. It's that same effect. The QR code creates a sense of professionalism and effort, like, oh, these guys are putting effort in even the small details. What they're doing must be really valuable, or at least they're worth listening, worth exploring. Marketing and user experience. Memorability. So if you have a distinct QR code, it makes it more memorable, increasing the likelihood that people will remember to scan them or return to scan them later, right? It makes it more memorable because it's so unique. User trust. QR codes that look professional, well integrated with brand's identity, can instill more trust, making them more likely to engage with the code. If you're a new business, if you're a small business, right, you're still building customer trust. If you just have a regular black and white QR code, people might not be interested in clicking it. They don't know if you're a scammer or not. But if you have like a very well branded one, it's not like they know that you're not a scammer anymore, but it's just like a subconscious thing. It's like, oh, this person is putting a lot of effort into this, and this is probably a paid experience. So they're not just generating free shit online to try and get me to, you know, click or scam. They're actually spending money, and they're making it a better experience. Okay, so this is now we're getting into case studies, right? We've heard the explanation, right? We've heard the explanation, but it's still all theories. Studies and examples. Case studies. Various marketing case studies have shown that QR codes with customized designs can significantly increase scan rates compared to standard QR codes, right? Market research. Surveys and user feedback often indicate that people prefer engaging with visually appealing content. If things look prettier, you know, aesthetic QR codes are no exception to this, right? If things look pretty, people are more likely to engage, right? You're more likely to ask a girl out if she's prettier. You're more likely to say yes to a date if the guy is handsome, right? So we've got, it says, it says market research shows, but it's still vague, right? So I'm like, how much more effective are they statistically? I want some numbers, right? So it sends me, it gives me a bunch of reasons and a bunch of websites where it talks about increasing engagement using QR codes and stuff like that, where it's getting all this information of the customizable QR codes are good. And then in the last little bit, it says, in terms of effectiveness, customized QR codes can lead up to 80% more scans compared to standard QR codes. This increased interaction can translate to higher engagement and better marketing outcomes. 80% increase. That is insane. Customized QR codes can lead up to 80% more scans. Now, if you're a company who has, think about it this way, right? You hear people tell you about how great QR codes are, and it's like, okay, yeah, cool. Oh, they do this, they do this, they do this. It's like, okay, whatever. You know, in one year, out the other. But then you hear customized QR codes can lead up to 80% more scans. In that moment, what you're thinking about is your own website, right? And you're thinking about how many visits you get, right? You're thinking about how many visits you get and what your conversion rate is, and then you suddenly add an 80% increase to it, right? If this is 100, 80% is probably like here, right? You're adding this into this, right? So you get this, if that is clear. And you do that in your own head, right? And that solves that suddenly makes your 3% conversion rate go a little bit higher, right? I mean, it still might be 3%, but suddenly it's worth more, right? And 3% is minimum, right? It could be more. If your conversion rate is higher, you could be, looking at a significant growth, right? And you're like, oh, I can scale my click-through rate by 80% if I use a customized QR code. And then that's a hook, right? Because you're solving a real problem. The problem isn't that my QR code isn't pretty. The problem is that nobody's scanning my QR code. I was like, oh, okay, if I customize it and use all these little AI tools, not am I getting better operational efficiency and, better analytics. And I'm actually getting trend suggestions and on how to better engage with my customer base. I'm also getting 80% more click-throughs. People are going to scan and they're going to go to your website, more likely to. And it's like, okay, hard stats. That is one way of achieving a hook. Hard stats. And it solves a real problem. Right? The real problem is that a business wants more people on their websites so that they can get more customers. There's like a conversion rate to it. The more people that are on your website, the more that 3%, that 40%, whatever you have, depending on what niche you're in, right? At the bare minimum, 1 to 3% conversion rate, right? That's going to increase. That not as a percentage, perhaps, but as what that 1 to 3% represents. And you do that math in your head when you hear that 80% increase, right? So that's your hook. Because it's a real, so if I say you can get, here's how you can increase your click-through rate by 80%. I'm not even mentioning QR codes, I'm not even mentioning AI. I'm recognizing what problem this tool solves effectively. And I'm using that solution as the hook point, right? And I haven't even mentioned what the product is, right? Because customers don't care about your product. They care about their own problems. And if you can solve their problems, it doesn't matter what the product is. So, forget about all the fancy stuff. Stick to the basics. The written word is number one. That's step one. You begin from the written word and then you build upon it, right? Once you have your written word down for your product, everything else becomes easier. Your written word becomes the basis for every single aspect of your marketing. And, I have no stats for this, but I can hazard a guess that people are probably going to be more receptive to clicking through, clicking an ad that says increase your click-through rate by 80% rather than make your QR codes pretty, customize them and make them look real brand friendly and use all these analytics. It's like, yeah, that comes after I've solved a big problem. Those are just extras, right? And your job as someone who creates this for companies is to find that golden nugget that you know obviously you have to have a really good product to begin with, right? And you might not think, right, that a QR code, an AI QR code tool is very useful, but it doesn't matter where you're getting that 80%. As long as you're getting that 80%, it's whatever, right? So it's not about the product, it's about what problem you're solving. And if you can solve a good problem, right, and an 80% increase in click-through rate is an incredible solution to low click-through rates. Right? It's a big jump in stats. Right? It's something that even made me go like, well, I don't believe that. But the stats are right there. The statistics prove that a more attractive, visually appealing, dynamic, uh, brand-oriented QR code, people just are more likely to scan it. And it's just true, you know? And once you have that stat, right, that someone else has created, and once you've created that, once you've created that argument using, a golden nugget like that, you're more likely to catch people's attention. That catches people's attention. That's you saving them time, right? They get 80% more people scanning their QR code, again, going to their website, than they would usually. And that's big. You're saving them, once again, like we used with the laundry example, you're saving them time because they're getting 80% more scans, 80% more click through in the same amount of time. And 80% is big, right? So that's just one example. That's what I worked on today. And you have to realize that for about 2 hours while I did this research, I had absolutely no faith in this product. I had absolutely no faith in this product, and I did not care for it. But I looked for that golden nugget anyway, and I found it. And it was hidden in the click-through rate. And it was hidden in the thing that I thought that I had the least confidence in. The fact that it was, the analytics and the stuff made sense to me, but I'm like, that's not solving a good problem. That's just something that you'd give to a business that's already massive, and a massive business isn't worried about, you know, things like that, right? They already have their, huge softwares that are, doing their analytics for them. They have whole teams of people, like Nike or, Apple. They have whole teams of people doing market research and all these things. But a small business, medium business, may not have access to, those kinds of those levels of analytics. So, I get it. QR code could help them, access a new type of analytic, but that's only when people scan. And if your QR code is pretty, apparently people just scan more. So, found a golden nugget where I least thought I would find it. So I'm going to create something based on this, and we're going to see how it does. We're going to test that out. And I've got some more AI products that I'm going to be looking into and finding hooks, right? Looking into the depths of, you know, uh, reviews, what people are talking about when it comes to this topic, why your product is important, right? Because even some, like, it's crazy, right? Like, my brother is working with this company, and he showed me the website, and I read it a few times, and I spent time staring at the page, and I could not for the life of me figure out what the hell that company did. It's like, okay, I could tell it's a software thing and it has these features, but what is that one thing that it's going to help me with if I use it, right? And then he explained it to me, and I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't get that. That didn't make sense. That wasn't there, right? And, he explained to me over the course of a few minutes. But what you have to do is you have to convert that few minutes of explanation into a single sentence in a few words, or what you can explain in video in 3 seconds. And that's the tough part, right? That's the tough part. And you have to have some sort of social proof. So it's not an easy job, hence probably why people put it off. But, you know, this is effectively the most important part of business, of every company, everything that sells a service, a product. This is the most important part, and people just skip over it because it's really hard. It's dog work. It's difficult, but it's the only useful part, right? To you as a company, right? Once you've created a product, it's more just like, okay, every now and then we'll update it, and we'll keep working on trying to make it a little better. But if you don't work on this part, you're not going to get much scale. You're not going to, you know, get the kind of customer base you'd like. And quite frankly, not the kind of customer base a very useful product should get. Because if your product is useful, more people should have it. More people that need it should have it. But if you're not packaging it correctly, then it's going to go to waste. That's why a lot of times when you have, you see, like during history, like if you look through product history, right? I forget what the product was, but like the VHS was an inferior product to another technology, but the VHS won because A, it came to market first, or I think it came later, but it just had better branding. It just marketed better. So, sometimes a worser product can win simply by, appealing to the audience better. And yeah, so just because your product is useful doesn't mean that it's going to get the attention it needs. And you could lose out to someone who just packaged their product better. So keep that in mind. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I came up with one today so far, but I'm going to be doing it for 5 more. And a lot of it's just iterating, kind of finding out the little fine details of what the product does and why it's useful. Solving real problems. Hey, what's up? What's up? Just finding out what the product does and why it's useful, and what real problems it solves, right? Like I have another one here, AI meal planner. It's like, oh, get an AI meal planner that makes you meal plans. Like, okay, but what problem does it solve, right? What your customer base goes through day by day, right? That problem, what are you solving, right? It's like with the QR code, we're increasing click-through rate, right? So now it's clear, right? That's what people are buying. People aren't buying a QR code generator. They're buying 80% more click-through rate. So when you think about your product, you can't just be focused on the product itself. You have to be thinking about what the hell is your customer buying this for, right? Because they're not buying the product, they're buying the result, right? They could care less about the product. They want the result. So something to keep in mind. I've got an AI meal planner, a podcast summarizer, uh, uh, pixart.com, which is like an AI logo creator, Opinely, which is like it's like competition. Like you could put in the URL of your like your competitor's website and find out their strengths and weaknesses and what they're up to. So you could market your product over theirs, But that again, that's not what the customer's buying. What is the result that they get from this that people are buying, right? They're buying the result. They're not buying the product. That's the mantra for today. They're buying results, not your product. So don't get emotionally attached to your product. It doesn't matter what it is if it does not give you a clear result. That result is something of real value. And, sometimes you may have to talk to the people and say, what you're doing is kind of really close to the answer, but if you were to if you were to focus on this part of the service more, you probably, have a better chance of, scaling your business. So something to keep note of. Okay. Oh shit, I've been live for an hour. I've got some lasagna waiting for me, so probably gonna head off soon. I was gonna stay for longer, but I think I can hack another 10 minutes. Yeah, I think we made some good points today. We made some good points today. I am going to uh, figure out the rest of the 5 hook points, and I might do another live at night, just to kind of update on how my progress went. And then tomorrow, I'm gonna be going through the process of filming and editing, and hopefully, you know, hopefully, hopefully we made some good hook points, you know. And we'll find out. We'll find out, and it'll probably be very apparent whether it's gonna work or not before we've even posted it, right? Like I can tell, like every time I create something and it's posted, I can tell whether it's gonna be good or not. Unfortunately, it's like Jay-Z said. Uh, I think Jay-Z was quoting someone else too, but nothing ever gets finished; it just gets released, right? So, if Jay-Z is not completing everything to his liking before releasing, then who the hell are you? And so just release it in a timely manner, and try to be faster. And hello, hi. Just release in a timely manner, and just review and learn from your mistakes. Right? Iterating is far better. Iterating over like a few releases, like 10, 20, 30, 100 releases, and getting better and learning each time it's a much better and much more useful experience than spending 100 days thinking about one thing before releasing it. But nothing more valuable than direct response, right? If your ad's not working, if your content's not working, if it's not engaging, people just won't watch it, right? So if you're not creating engagement, it's because you're not doing enough to capture it, and therefore you need more research. You need more time, and if you don't have the time, you need faster ways, right? Scrap your process and create it again from the bottom up. It's the way to do it. You cannot get bogged down, right? It's like the gambler's fallacy, right? You spend let's say a few weeks working on a single process, and you're like, no, I have to make it work. I was like, maybe not. Maybe not. If you have some ideas, obviously try them. But if it's not working, switch your tactics. Switch your tactics. Come up with a new process, new solution. You know, Rework your process from the bottom up. If it's taking too long, or if I need more time to make it right, then maybe I need to do it in a faster way. Maybe I need to rework the process and do it again. Right? It's like, if I'm editing on my phone and I'm editing a certain way, and if by doing things in a certain way, I get more engagement, but that means I need to spend an extra hour on my phone editing, and I don't have that hour in my day. Maybe I just need to create a completely different process of editing. Did you get it? But the last week has been mostly me doing that. I think I'd reached a plateau in terms of what I was doing, how I was doing it, and what I achieved from it. And so I'm going, it's like every day going back to the drawing board and kind of seeing what can I change as part of my process to speed things up. And it's like documenting that process and seeing exactly how it's done reduces the chance that you're going to get lucky, right? If you have a process that you're working on and that gives you desired results, then you have something of value, and it's documented. which means that you could recreate it. And then, you recreate it and see if it works. And, if it works like 3 to 5 times in a row, 10 times in a row, you're in the green, right? So that's about it for today. I'm gonna go eat some lasagna, like Garfield. You know what I mean? Who doesn't love Garfield? So there it is. Hope that was useful. And yeah, I'm gonna pack it up now. Okay, this was fun. Hope you learned something. Be good, do good things, and subscribe and good things happen. So I'll either see you tonight or tomorrow, but I might show up tonight as a forcing function to make sure that I get my writing done tonight. Because I need to get these 5 done so I can get them all filmed tomorrow. And the temperature is too hot, so I've got to get creative with the indoors, or maybe I'll film by the pool or something. So, Like yesterday, it was like 42 degrees, and I like burnt my thumb, burnt my hand, I burnt my face. You can't see it, but I can feel it, and it's not nice because I could not sleep. So, yeah. At least today I get to, stay indoors a bit, do some writing, chill out, have some lasagna. See you tomorrow or later.